Hi everyone, Jodie Thornton, parent coach here. Have you tried everything to deal with your child's resistance and defiance and nothing is working? Today I want to talk about what are the reasons our kids get stuck in defiance and what we can do to respond to it really constructively. So, defiance comes in many forms. We can have kids that will just flat out refuse to do what you say. Sometimes our kids can look you dead in the eye and do the thing that you just told them not to do. Sometimes they will really just say no to everything you propose. It doesn't matter if you ask them if they wanted ice cream for dinner, the instant response will be no, because they want to be like kind of oppositional until they realise that actually I'm missing out on ice cream and yeah, I'll have that. So one of the reasons why it's really important for us to think about why our kids get stuck in defiance is that it is really easy for us to fall into a loop with our kids where we are just escalating. So their defiance starts. We introduce a consequence, or we start to lecture, or sometimes we start to snap and yell. And then their defiance gets worse, and then we like trying to ramp up our consequences, and it just ends up into a spiral, and it can get really, really hard when you've already, given the consequences that will last some months. Where do you go from there? Or for a small child, the consequences are already well beyond where they can actually tie in those consequences to the behaviour that they've had. And so responding to defiance can really help us to not get stuck in that loop. The second reason why it's really important to focus on how we respond to defiance rather than just making it stop, we actually need to look at why they're doing it, because if we're not careful, we can send messages that they're in a belief that they what they want is important is not worthwhile, or not something that other people want to know. We also might inadvertently send a message that what I want is more important than what you want. And sometimes we can send those, as I said, all of these things are kind of unintended, but they're kind of the consequences that we're not sure how to avoid and still get the defiance to stop, is really giving that message that that you shouldn't be persistent, that you shouldn't go after what you want. But, at the end of the day, we still need to be able to enjoy living together, and you can't, be the one who makes the decisions all the time and not get along with others. So what are the three reasons? The first reason, and the most common reason that our kids are stuck in defiance, is that they feel like you're controlling them. So as humans, one of our biggest needs is autonomy, the ability to make decisions about what we do and how we do it. It is one of the most important things for our thriving. And so whenever our kids feel like we're making decisions for them that they don't like, and that we're actually going to get in the way of them having full control over themselves, that's where we end up, with them just saying no because they're not in control. So for this one, it's my go-to is giving choice where there doesn't seem to be choice. So that might be things like, would you like to walk to the car, or would you like me to carry you? Now, for my 5-year-old, when she was younger, that worked brilliantly because she never wanted to be carried. She always wanted to, to walk herself. My 3-year-old prefers to be carried, so that's not working. So that one, I keep offering that and realising she's going to want me to carry her. But that giving choices where there seems to be no choice. We can also just empathise with the fact that you really don't want to do it just because I said so. Anything that kind of acknowledges that they want to have control, and sometimes they can and sometimes they can't. And the third thing I do in that case is if your suspicion is that they're feeling a bit controlled, is to say, I totally understand why you want to choose for yourself. I can't let you because, and give the actual reason as to why you need to make this decision for them. So that's the number one reason why your kiddo will get stuck in defiance. The second reason that they'll get stuck in defiance is that they're actually really angry at you for something else, and either they've forgotten the reason why they're angry, or they know the reason, but they just don't know how to get you to really understand that they're very angry about something else. So in that case, I will just say to them, hey, sweetie, are you angry still because I wouldn't give you ice cream for breakfast? A lot of ice cream posts today, ice cream examples today. But if I do that, are you really angry because of what I said before? And she'll go, yes. And then I can say, well, I'm so sorry that you couldn't have what you wanted. I really want you to have what you want. It's just that, and give the real reason. So that can just kind of take the heat out of the issue. And at least, even if there's not a solution, it calls attention to the fact that, like, having one problem and then choosing to deal with that with another strategy, like another set of behaviours, is not going to get you any closer to solving this problem over here. And it kind of gives them a pattern of, when I have an issue, I can just say that. I don't need to escalate by doing a different type of behaviour. So the third reason that our kids get stuck in defiance is that, and I really, really love this one, so they don't believe that our reasons are worthwhile, the reason that we need them to do the thing. And so what they'll do is they'll explain to you, Mum, don't worry, I am going to liberate us both from these silly rules. And this one is so much fun because when we look at it, we can see that either it's a rule that we ourselves don't really understand, that's just what we do and that's what we have to do. And so when we're trying to enforce this rule, they pick up on the energy that we're not comfortable. And so they're like, don't worry, I will show you. I will help you learn that you don't have to do these silly things that nobody wants to do. And then the second reason that this one might come up is because we're not talking about the real reason. So a couple of weeks ago, my daughter went to a light festival with my husband and they brought back a toy. That toy was on the floor and I kicked it and I broke it. And I felt, my first reaction was really angry. I was like, you shouldn't leave your things around, And I was like, well, why? Why shouldn't she leave her things around? Well, because they might get broken and she should learn to look after the things that are precious to her. And I was like, well, hang on a second. There's an assumption that this toy, this trinket that they brought back from the light festival was actually precious to her. Maybe she didn't like it. Maybe she didn't want it. Maybe it was just something nice to have, but now the moment's passed. And maybe, in that case, that was my issue, is that I'd worried that I had broken something that she wanted. And then I was like, well, don't leave your things around. In another example, the exact same scenario might play out, and it actually might be, I'm tired of picking up things from everybody else, leaving them around. And so you can see that it's important, even if it's the exact same scenario, what's really important is getting to the real reason why we need to do things and explaining that. And then our kids can stop fighting, the good fight of like liberating us from all of these silly rules that we have that, you will see, we will both be more happy if we just stop doing these silly things that no one wants to do. So those are the three reasons why our kids get stuck in defiance. And I'd really love to hear which of those is most common for each of your kids. What are you going to do differently now that you've heard, what we can do to address that behaviour without actually kind of dampening their persistence or dampening their spirited nature? I'd really love to hear what you're going to change, and come back and let me know what a difference it made. Like, how did that shift the dynamic between you and your kids? So if you'd love to see my videos more frequently, I send out, when there's new videos available, I send them out by email. So in the description of this video, you can see a link to register to get these videos sent directly to you. And I'd really love to see you see you more frequently in these videos. And I am really excited for you to enjoy more of parenting. So thank you so much for watching.